The thing about moments like that is how small they look from the outside. A backyard. Folding chairs. Paper plates bending under potato salad. My sister's voice pitched light, joking adjacent, the way people speak when they want plausible deniability later. Her arm came out, not a shove, not aggressive. Just a casual barrier, like stopping a dog from getting underfoot. Sorry, she said, smiling, this table's full for good kids only. Her kids laughed. They were already seated, legs swinging, forks clinking. They didn't inherit the cruelty, they inherited the permission. My son froze. He hadn't been running or shouting. He'd asked if he could sit. He stood there holding his napkin, like it was evidence of something he'd failed to prove. There are 1,000 ways to handle a moment like that. I know because I ran through all of them in the half-second afterward. You can correct. You can escalate. You can joke louder and sharper and try to win the room. You can pull rank as the older sibling, the one who paid, the one who planned. What I did was none of those. I walked over, crouched slightly so my face was level with his, and helped him with his jacket. One sleeve had turned inside out. I fixed it carefully, the way you do when you're trying to communicate safety without words. He didn't ask why we were leaving. He didn't cry. He just let me zip him up. Behind us, conversation stumbled. Someone said my name, uncertainly, like they'd dropped something fragile. We left without a word. In the car, he looked out the window the whole way home. I told him we'd get burgers if he wanted. He nodded. He ate quietly. Later, he asked if he'd done something wrong. No, I said. And that was all I said, because it was the only thing that mattered. That night, after he was asleep, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open. The house was quiet in that way that makes decisions louder. I didn't cancel out of anger. Anger is sloppy. It makes speeches. It wants witnesses. I canceled because I finally saw the shape of things. For years, I'd been the organizer. The one who booked the rentals, upgraded the flights, handled the deposits. It started because I was good at it. Then it continued because I was convenient for everyone else. The luxury trip had been my idea, framed as a gift, a chance for all the cousins to be together somewhere beautiful, neutral, special. At some point, special had turned into assumed. I opened the confirmation emails. Resort, private transport, experiences prepaid, my name was on everything. Not as a favor. As a fact, I canceled methodically. Each click came with a polite confirmation screen. No drama. Just a shift from to void. There were fees, of course. I paid them without flinching. Boundaries often cost something up front. When I was done, I closed the laptop and went to bed. The next 2 days were ordinary. School drop-off, work emails, dinner. My son asked if we were still seeing his cousins on the trip. I told him no, we weren't going on that trip anymore. He accepted it with the uncomplicated logic of a childy, something that hurts stops happening. I didn't reach out to my sister. I didn't announce anything to the family group chat. Silence isn't passive when it's chosen. 2 days later, my phone buzzed while I was folding laundry. What's the check-in time? No greeting. No context. Just the question, floating on the assumption that the world was still arranged the way she expected. I stared at the screen longer than necessary. Not because I didn't know than necessary. Because I wanted to say it cleanly. There isn't one. I typed. I canceled the bookings. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Disappeared. Appeared again. What do you mean you canceled?
Why would you do that?
This is ridiculous. I folded a shirt. Set it aside. Let the messages stack. Finally, are you seriously doing this because of a joke? That was the rewrite. The smoothing over. The part where I was expected to make it easier for everyone else to stay exactly the same. I'm doing it because my child was excluded. I wrote, and because the trip was optional. There it was. The authority of reality, no raised voices. No insults. Just the unmovable fact that resources had been withdrawn. She called. I let it ring. Later she sent a longer message. How her kids were excited, how I was punishing everyone, how families tease, how sensitive my son was, how I always took things too seriously. I didn't correct her. Correction invites debate. I replied once more. I'm not debating this. I hope you all still have a good summer. After that, the messages slowed. Confusion gave way to anger, then to something quieter. The family group chat stayed silent for a while. When it resumed, it was about neutral things, weather, school dates, nothing that required acknowledgement of the gap that had opened. A week later, my mother asked if everything was okay. I said yes. Not because it was painless, but because it was stable. One evening, my son and I sat on the couch sat on the puzzle. He pressed pieces together with his tongue, sticking out in concentration. At one point, he said, casually, I'm glad we didn't go on that. Tut, I said. Why? I thought about it. Because you don't have to earn a seat. He nodded, like that explained something he'd already felt. The consequences didn't explode. They diffused. Invitations became less frequent. When they came, they were more careful. My sister was polite in a way that suggested she was still waiting for me to apologize for the inconvenience. I never did. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just stops accommodating. I didn't win anything. I lost some ease, some illusions, a version of family harmony that required my silence to function. What I gained was quieter. My child learned, without a speech, that he was worth leaving for. I learned that dignity doesn't need to be loud to be final. And somewhere in the background, the table stayed exactly as full as it had always been. Just not with us.